When they marked our world for Exterminatus, the sky sighed. I remember that moment with a clarity that makes sleep impossible now. It wasn't dramatic, no thunder, no screaming yet. Just the flat, mechanical voice of the astropathic relay broadcast through every voxcaster in the Hive City, in every township, every settlement across Tertium Majoris. The same 12 words, repeated 3 times. By decree of the Holy Ordos, this world is condemned. Evacuation protocols suspended. The sky sighed. That's the only way I can describe it. As if the planet itself understood before we did, and exhaled one final breath of resignation. Or perhaps it was just the sudden collective intake of breath from 6 billion souls, creating a vacuum that nature rushed to fill. My name is Valens Cross. I was an administrative scrivener in Hive Tertium's Department of Tithe Assessment, Sublevel 47, Sector 19. I recorded grain shipments and promethium quotas. I verified the purity seals on shipping manifests. For 32 years, I lived a life of such magnificent insignificance that I believed I would die in my sleep at 70, forgotten before my body cooled. Instead, I will die with everyone I have ever known, and I am writing this confession not because anyone will read it, but because the act of writing is the last thread connecting me to the person I was 3 weeks ago, before the announcement. Before I learned what it means to live on a world awaiting its execution. They gave us 30 days. A mercy, the inquisitorial representative said in his second broadcast. Time to make peace with the God Emperor. Time to pray for our soul's delivery unto his golden throne. 30 days to watch our world die slowly before the actual death arrives. Today is day 23. 30 days to watch our world die slowly before the actual death arrives. Today is day 23. The first 72 hours, people simply refused to believe it. I returned to my HAB unit after the announcement, walking through streets that seemed almost normal. The vendors were still selling their protein paste and corpse starch rations. The Administratum Tower still hummed with its 1,000 lights. People moved with purpose, going to work, returning home, existing in the grooves their lives had worn into the Hive structure over generations. It's a test, my neighbor Cornelius said that evening, standing in the communal hallway outside our units. He was a shift supervisor in the water reclamation plant, a man whose entire personality could be summarized as punctual. They're testing our faith. If we panic, we fail. If we continue our duties, the Emperor protects. His wife Marta stood behind him, holding their daughter Esme. The girl was 6, maybe 7. She was crying, not understanding why, but sensing her mother's fear. Marta said nothing, but her eyes met mine for just a moment, and in that moment I saw that she knew. We all knew, beneath the desperate scaffolding of denial we were erecting. But denial is its own kind of faith, and faith was all we had left to cling to. I went to work the next day. So did most of my department. We sat at our desks, staring at data slates we couldn't focus on, speaking in hushed voices about procedure and protocol. Our supervisor, Magistrate Helix, insisted that we maintain normal operations until instructed otherwise. He was a man who had spent 40 years building a cathedral of bureaucracy around himself, and he would not let it collapse without the proper authorization codes. By the 3rd day, half the department didn't show up. By the 5th day, Magistrate Helix sat alone in his office, manually filing reports that would never be read. I found him there on day 6, slumped over his desk, an empty bottle of Amasec beside him and a pistol in his hand. He hadn't used it yet. He was simply holding it, staring at the weapon as if studying its design, tears streaming silently down his face. "Do you think it hurts?" he asked when he noticed me in the doorway. "Exterminatus, do you think we'll feel it? Or is it instant?" I had no answer. I still don't. He shot himself that night. I know because I heard the last crack echo through the empty administrative tower at 2347. I checked my chrono reflexively, a habit of years spent documenting every transaction down to the minute. Even facing oblivion, I couldn't stop being a scrivener. The first week taught me that normalcy is a skin we wear, and when you tear it away, there's nothing but raw terror underneath. By day 7, the truth became impossible to ignore because the sky itself changed. The first evacuation ships departed from the noble spires, the towers that pierced the Hive Cities' upper reaches where the aristocracy dwelt in their climate-controlled luxury. breathing filtered air and dining on imported delicacies. We'd always known they lived differently than us, but we'd never truly understood the gulf until we watched them abandon us. The ships were magnificent, gilded cruisers with names like Imperishable Glory and Crown of Dominion, vessels meant to showcase wealth rather than function. They rose on pillars of fire, dozens of them, carving contrails across the gray sky as they burned toward orbit. Each one carried a noble house and their retinues, hundreds of people per ship, thousands in total. They left behind millions. I watched from the observation platform on sublevel 47, pressed against the reinforced glass with hundreds of other workers, watching our betters flee. Someone was crying. Several people were screaming at the sky, as if their fury could drag those ships back down. One man, I never learned his name, simply laughed. A broken, bitter sound that went on and on until someone pulled him away from the glass. "They'll send help," someone said. "They're going to alert the sector fleet. We'll be evacuated too." No one believed it. We all understood the truth. Those ships carried the only people the Imperium deemed worthy of saving. The rest of us were the infection, the corrupted tissue that needed to be cut away. You don't save the cells when you excise a tumor. The next day, the middle-tier evacuation began. Merchant captains, lesser nobility, high-ranking administratum officials who had the connections or currency to buy passage on commercial vessels. These ships were less grand but more numerous, a swarm of transports and cargo haulers repurposed for human freight. They demanded payment. Hard currency, gems, Prometheum futures, anything of value. The going rate for a berth, I heard, was approximately 50,000 thrones, more than most citizens earned in a lifetime. Families sold everything they owned, pooling resources, bribing and begging for a single seat for their child, their spouse, anyone they loved. By day 10, even those ships had stopped coming. The orbital traffic control went silent. The sky, which had been alive with exhaust trails, became still again. We were alone. The ecclesiarchy tried to maintain control. They always try to maintain control. Preacher Valdane was our sector's spiritual shepherd, a man whose fire and brimstone sermons had terrified me as a child into believing that every sin, no matter how small, was recorded in the Emperor's great book of judgment. He had seemed so powerful then, his voice echoing through the cathedral as he spoke of eternal damnation and redemption through suffering. On day 8, he climbed to his pulpit and told us that Exterminatus was mercy. "The Emperor's love is a cleansing fire," he thundered, his augmetic voice amplifier crackling with feedback. "We have been found wanting, brothers and sisters. Our world harbors corruption. Heresy has taken root in our midst. But do not despair, for in our death we are purified. In our obliteration we are redeemed. The God Emperor does not abandon his children. He welcomes us home through the flames." Half the congregation wept. The other half stared at him with dead eyes. I was in the second group. By day 12, Preacher Valdane's message had changed. "Prayer," he screamed from a street corner, his robes filthy, his amplifier broken so that his voice was raw and human and desperate. "Ceaseless prayer. If we prostrate ourselves before the golden throne, if we beg forgiveness with sufficient fervor, the Emperor may stay the executioner's hand." Thousands joined him. The Avenue of Saints became an ocean of kneeling bodies, foreheads pressed to the rockcrete, voices raised in the hymn of absolution. They prayed for 16 hours straight. Some collapsed from dehydration. Others simply refused to stop, believing that to cease praying was to doom us all. The sky did not answer. On day 14, a different preacher appeared, one I'd never seen before, dressed in the tattered remains of what might once have been ecclesiarchal robes. He stood on the steps of the cathedral and screamed that we had been lied to, that the Emperor had forsaken us, that Tertium Majoris was being sacrificed to cover the incompetence of an inquisitor who had let true corruption escape to another world. "We are innocent," he howled. "This is murder, not judgment. The Imperium is rotten, and he was beaten to death by the crowd before he finished his sermon. Not by Arbites, not by enforcers, by common citizens who needed to believe their death had meaning, who could not bear the thought that they were dying for nothing. I watched it happen. I did not intervene. I am not proud of that, but I understand it now. We were all looking for someone to blame, some explanation that would make sense of the senseless. If the preacher was a heretic, then maybe Valdane was right. Maybe we deserved this. Maybe our suffering had purpose. The alternative, that we were simply unlucky, that we were dying because one inquisitor signed one document for reasons we would never understand, was too terrible to accept. By week 3, society had collapsed in everything but name. The riots started on day 15 in the lower Hive levels, where the population density was highest and resources had always been scarce. When the food shipments stopped coming, why waste Promethium transporting grain to corpses? Starvation became immediate. The Underhive gangs fought for control of the remaining supply warehouses, and the violence spilled upward through the Hive's layers like rising floodwater. The Arbites tried to maintain order. For perhaps 36 hours, they succeeded through sheer brutality, gunning down rioters and leaving the bodies in the streets as warnings. But you cannot intimidate people who know they're going to die anyway. Fear loses its power when there's nothing left to lose. On day 16, I saw an Arbites enforcer torn apart by a mob in Commerce Sector 7. They didn't kill him quickly. They took their time, and his screams echoed off the Hive walls for what felt like hours. When I fled the scene, I looked back once and saw people fighting over his armor, his weapons, even his body. We had become animals. Or perhaps we had always been animals, and civilization was simply the cage that kept us contained. The suicides began in earnest around day 14 and accelerated rapidly. Every morning revealed new bodies, hanging from balconies, slumped in alleyways, floating in the reclamation pools. Some left notes. Most didn't bother. What was there to say? The Munitorium depot on sublevel 63 was raided on day 17, and suddenly everyone had access to lasguns and frag grenades. The fighting intensified. Entire sectors went dark as power conduits were severed or sabotaged. The lights failed in sequence, Hive level by Hive level, until only the upper reaches maintained illumination. I kept a lamp beside me at all times. The darkness felt too much like a preview of what was coming. But amid the chaos, there were also moments of heartbreaking tenderness. I saw families barricade themselves in their hab units, not to hide from the rioters, but to spend their final days together. Through broken windows, I glimpsed parents reading to their children, couples holding each other, people sharing their last meals by candlelight. They had accepted their fate and chosen love over fear. On day 18, I found Cornelius and Marta in their unit, all three of them in bed together. Esme was between them, clutching a stuffed Grox that looked older than she was. They were asleep, sedatives, I think, empty pharmaceutical bottles on the bedside table. They looked peaceful. I closed the door quietly and left them there. It seemed obscene to disturb them. Some chose rage, some chose love. Some, like me, chose to keep moving, keep documenting, keep existing for no reason except that we hadn't yet found the courage to stop. I heard about the ship on day 19 from a man named Drakon. We left at midnight on day 19, a group of 24 desperate souls moving through a city that had become a vision of hell. Drakon led us, following routes he claimed to know, avoiding the major thoroughfares where the gangs had established their territories. Our group was a cross-section of Hive society thrown together by chance and dying hope. A Medicae named Thessie who kept checking her chronometer compulsively, counting down the days we had left. A tech priest called Varus, whose augmetics sparked and whirred with poorly managed anxiety. A mother named Iona, carrying a child who hadn't spoken since the announcement. 3 former guardsmen who'd been on leave when the world was condemned, and a dozen others, each carrying the weight of their own terror. We moved through streets strewn with bodies and debris. Fires burned unchecked in several sectors, painting the underside of the Hive's upper levels with an orange glow. The smoke was thick enough to sting our eyes and scratch our throats. In Habitation Block 47, we passed a group of people engaged in what I can only describe as a festival. They'd broken into a nobility's wine cellar and were drinking themselves to death, laughing and dancing and singing hymns in between bouts of vomiting. They invited us to join. Several of our group looked tempted. "Keep moving," Drakon said, and we did. In Market Sector 3, we found a shrine that had become a mass grave. Hundreds of bodies, neatly arranged by the faithful, each one laid out with hands folded across their chests. Someone had been painting names on the wall, a list of the dead that stretched 20 meters high before the painter ran out of paint, or will, or life. The child in Iona's arms started crying. The sound echoed off the walls, and suddenly I was crying too. We all were, even the guardsmen. We stood in that shrine-turned-morgue and wept for people we'd never known, for ourselves, for our world. Then we kept walking. The cargo port's southern entrance was sealed, the massive blast doors locked and reinforced. But Varus, the tech priest, managed to access a maintenance tunnel, a crawl space filled with cables and pipes that forced us to move single file, hunched over, breathing recycled air that tasted of ozone and desperation. It took 3 hours to navigate the tunnel. 3 hours of claustrophobic darkness, punctuated by Varus's monotone recitation of Mechanicus prayers and the sound of our own ragged breathing. Twice, we heard explosions in the distance, the vibrations shaking dust from the tunnel's ceiling. Thessi, the medic, whispered that it was probably the Prometheum refineries going up. Without maintenance, without oversight, the industrial sectors were eating themselves. 14 days, she said to no one in particular. 14 more days. Do you think they'll wait? Do you think they'll come early if the hive is already destroying itself? No one answered. We emerged from the tunnel into Cargo Bay 12, a vast chamber designed to hold bulk freight containers. It was empty now, or nearly so, just a few broken crates and the scattered debris of hasty abandonment. Bay 17 is through there, Dracon said, pointing to a passage on the far side. 500 meters. We ran, not out of fear of being pursued, but because hope had seized us again, that vicious hope that refuses to die even when death is certain. Maybe the ship was real, maybe we would escape, maybe we would live. Bay 17's entrance was guarded, not by Arbites or military. Those forces had largely dissolved or retreated to protect the upper spires. These were private security, mercenaries hired by whoever owned the ship. They wore mismatched armor and carried las guns that looked well maintained, and there were 6 of them blocking the access corridor. Invitation only, their leader said, a woman with a bionic eye that glowed red in the dim light. Turn around. We have skills, Dracon said quickly. A tech priest, a medicae, former guardsman. We can help crew the ship, provide security. Don't care. Orders are orders. You're not on the list, you don't enter. Now fuck off before we make you. One of the guardsmen in our group, a man named Court, stepped forward, hand moving toward the lasgun at his hip. We're not asking. The mercenary shot him. Center mass, no hesitation. The las bolt punched through his chest and dropped him instantly. We scattered. Some fled back into the cargo bay, others dove behind cover. I found myself pressed against a support pillar, heart racing, ears ringing from the shot. The mercenary's voice echoed after us. Next one's a headshot. Go home and pray. That's all you've got left. We regrouped in Bay 12, minus Court and 3 others who'd fled in different directions. Dracon was shaking, his face pale. The ship's real, he said. Did you see? The guards wouldn't be there if the ship wasn't real. We can't get past them, one of the other guardsmen said. Not without weapons, not without a plan. Then we get weapons, Dracon insisted. We find another way in. There has to be. There's no point, Thessi interrupted quietly. She was sitting against a crate, staring at nothing. Even if we got on that ship, where would it go? The system's under quarantine. Any vessel that leaves this world will be destroyed by the orbital fleet. There is no escape. There never was. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She looked up at him and her eyes were dry. All the tears were gone, replaced by a terrible clarity. I was at the astropathic relay station when the original message came through. I saw the full text, not just the public broadcast. The blockade is absolute. Nothing leaves, nothing enters. This world is a tomb, and everyone on it is already dead. The ship in Bay 17? It's not an escape. It's just a slower death, and whoever's on it is too stupid or too desperate to realize it. Silence fell over our group. So what do we do? Iona whispered, clutching her silent child. Thessi stood up. Whatever we want. It doesn't matter anymore. She walked away into the darkness of the cargo bay, and we never saw her again. We returned to the main hive levels as dawn broke on day 20, though dawn was a relative term in a world whose sun now seemed cold and distant, as if even our star had turned its face from us in shame. Draken's group dissolved. Some went home, some wandered off into the ruins. The guardsmen said they were going to find weapons and make those mercenary bastards pay. I suspect they're dead now. I walked with Dracon for a while, neither of us speaking. We moved through streets that had gone quiet, not peaceful, but empty. The riots had burned themselves out. The looters had taken everything worth taking. What remained were survivors too exhausted to do anything but exist for a few more days. It was real, Dracon said finally. The ship, I saw it before the announcement. My brother showed me. It was real. I believe you. So why is Stessi right? Why does it feel like she's right? I didn't answer because I had no comfort to offer. But I thought about it. I thought about the Imperium I'd served my entire life, the vast machine of bureaucracy and faith and violence that spanned a million worlds. I thought about the casual brutality of Exterminatus, the way they could condemn an entire planet with a 12-word announcement. Did they really believe the ship in Bay 17 would escape? Or was it always part of the plan? Keep a few ships grounded. Let rumors spread. Give the desperate something to chase, somewhere to direct their hope. It would prevent the kind of total immediate chaos that might threaten the upper spires. It would buy time for the nobles to flee, for the administratum to extract valuable assets. And when the end came, those ships would die with everyone else, their passengers realizing too late that hope had been weaponized against them. I started laughing, not because it was funny, but because the alternative was screaming. Dracon looked at me like I'd gone mad. Maybe I had. There never was any escape, I said. The ship is bait. We're all bait. This whole thing, the countdown, the waiting, all of it, it's designed to keep us docile until they're ready to push the button. That's insane. Is it? The Imperium kills billions without hesitation. You think they care about giving us false hope? You think cruelty requires a reason? I wiped tears from my face, unsure if I was crying or just laughing so hard that my eyes watered. We're already dead, Dracon. We've been dead since the announcement. We're just ghosts who haven't stopped moving yet. He left me there, on the steps of a burned-out chapel, and I didn't blame him. I sat there for hours, watching the sky and waiting for it to answer me. It didn't, of course. The sky never answers. Day 21. The water processing plants shut down. Not sabotage, just neglect. No one left to maintain them, no reason to bother. The taps run dry and people start fighting over whatever's left in bottles and containers. I drink from a puddle and don't care if it makes me sick. Day 22. I returned to my HAB unit for the first time in days. It's been ransacked, but the looters missed my small stash of writing materials hidden under a loose floor panel. I add these pages to my confession, writing by the light of a dying glow globe. Outside my window, I see people on the balconies of neighboring HAB blocks. They're not rioting or fleeing. They're just standing there, watching the sky, waiting. We've become a world of watchers, collectively holding our breath for the end. Day 23. Today. Now. I went outside at dawn, if only to prove to myself that I still could. The streets are nearly empty. The few people I see move like sleepwalkers, drifting between shadows. The hive is silent, except for the groan of failing machinery and the occasional distant scream. I made my way to the Cathedral of Eternal Devotion, the main place of worship in our sector. The doors were open. Inside, perhaps 1,000 people knelt in prayer, their voices raised in hymns that sounded more like keening. Preacher Valdane was there at the altar, but he wasn't speaking. He was prostrate, forehead pressed to the floor, shoulders shaking with sobs. I didn't stay. Instead, I climbed. Up through the hive levels, through passages I'd never explored, higher and higher until I reached an observation deck that jutted from the hive's exterior. The view was dizzying, hundreds of meters above the ground, the wastes of Tertium Majoris spreading out below me to the horizon. There were others here, 20, maybe 30 people, all staring up at the sky. I joined them. We don't speak. There's nothing left to say. We simply stand vigil, watching for the first sign of our deliverance into death. In these 23 days, I have learned things I wish I could unlearn. I've learned that civilization is not a foundation but a veneer, thin as paint, and just as easily scratched away. Beneath it, we are creatures of need and fear, capable of both transcendent love and bottomless cruelty, sometimes in the same moment. I've learned that hope is a weapon. The Imperium understands this better than its citizens do. They use hope the way an interrogator uses pain, to control, to manipulate, to extract compliance. The promise of salvation, the rumor of escape, the suggestion that maybe, just maybe, if we're faithful enough, the Emperor will spare us. It's all designed to keep us passive, to prevent the kind of unified resistance that might threaten those who passed our sentence. I've learned that faith is both humanity's greatest strength and its most exploitable weakness. The people who beat that heretic preacher to death, they weren't defending the Emperor. They were defending their need to believe their suffering meant something. Take away meaning, and all you have left is pain. And pain without purpose is unendurable. I've learned that I am not brave. I've had countless opportunities to help others, to show kindness, to sacrifice for strangers. Sometimes I took them. Usually, I didn't. I'm neither hero nor monster, just a man trying to survive a few extra days for no reason he can articulate. But most importantly, I've learned what it feels like to be disposable. We are the Imperium's children, raised on stories of mankind's dominance, of the Emperor's love, of our sacred duty to serve across a million worlds. We were taught that every life in his service has value, that every citizen contributes to the great work of human survival. It was a lie. We are not children. We are ammunition, and when the gun jams, you discard the fouled round and load another. Tertium Majoris is a fouled round. 6 billion souls, and we are all being discarded. Not because we failed, not because we sinned, simply because it was convenient. Perhaps some will read that as heresy. Perhaps they'll think the corruption the Inquisition feared has finally taken root in my heart. But I don't hate the Emperor. I don't even hate the Inquisitor who signed our death warrant. I just finally see things clearly. 7 days remain. I can feel it now, the approach of the end. It's like standing on a beach, watching a tsunami on the horizon, knowing you can't outrun it and there's nowhere high enough to climb. People have stopped counting hours. We count heartbeats now, each one a small rebellion against the inevitable. I saw Drakon again yesterday. He was sitting in the street, alone, staring at his hands. I sat beside him. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, he said, "I wanted to believe so badly. The ship, I would have done anything to believe. I know. Are you angry at the Imperium, at the Emperor, at whoever decided we should die?" I thought about it. "No, I'm not angry, I'm just tired." He nodded. We sat there until dark, two ghosts keeping each other company. 6 days remain. The power failed completely in the lower Hive levels last night. Entire sectors went dark, and in the darkness, people started singing, not hymns or prayers, children's songs, lullabies, the kind of music that speaks of comfort and safety, the lies we tell children to help them sleep. I found it unutterably sad and unutterably beautiful. 5 days remain. Food is functionally gone. People have stopped eating for the most part. There's no point in dying hungry when you're about to die anyway. I saw a man sharing his last ration bar with a stranger today, breaking it carefully in half, giving away food he could have hoarded. When I asked him why, he said, "Because I can." It was the most profound statement of defiance I've ever heard. 4 days remain. The gangs have stopped fighting. The riots have ceased. In the absence of social structure, we've created something new. Not order exactly, but a kind of collective understanding. We are all in this together. We are all dying together. I saw enemies embracing today. Lovers who'd fought for years sitting side by side. A merchant sharing his hidden water supply freely. We are, in these final days, becoming the people we always should have been. I find that unbearably tragic. 3 days remain. I've stopped writing except for these brief entries. There's nothing left to document. We're simply waiting now. I spent today with strangers who felt like family, sharing stories, laughing about absurd memories, holding each other when the fear became too much. Tonight, someone started a fire in the central square, not for warmth or cooking, but just for light. We gathered around it, hundreds of us, and watched the flames dance. No one spoke. We didn't need to. 2 days remain. The observation deck is crowded now. Almost everyone left alive in this sector has made their way here, drawn by some instinct to face the end together, in the light, watching the sky. Families huddle together, strangers hold hands. Someone is playing music on a battered Voxcaster, old Imperial hymns but played slowly, gently, transformed from declarations of triumph into elegies. I see Iona and her child. The little one still hasn't spoken, but she's not crying anymore either. She just rests her head against her mother's shoulder and stares at the stars. Drakon is here too. He nods to me. We don't need to speak. One day remains. The sky is different today. Clearer somehow, as if the clouds have parted to give us a better view of our deaths. People are praying, but not to the Emperor. They're praying to each other, asking forgiveness for old wrongs, granting it freely, making peace with lives that were often hard and bitter and unfair, but which were theirs. A young couple got married today on the observation deck, officiated by an old woman who remembered the words from her own ceremony decades ago. They had no rings, no witnesses except all of us, no future except ours, but they smiled at each other, and they meant their vows, and it was the most beautiful wedding I've ever seen. I've decided I'll die here, on this observation deck, surrounded by these people who've become my community in these final days. We'll die watching the sky together. There are worse ways to end. It's happening. The Voxcasters, most of which have been silent for days, suddenly crackled to life an hour ago. The same mechanical voice as before. Exterminatus commences in 6 hours. The Emperor protects. 6 hours. The observation deck is full now. Hundreds of us, maybe thousands, all gathered in this space that was meant to give workers a glimpse of the sky during their shifts. Now it's our final sanctuary. No one is running. There's nowhere to run to. Instead, people are singing. Someone started the hymn of final devotion. You know the one, the song they sing at funerals, and it spread through the crowd until all of us were singing, our voices rising toward that clear, cold sky. It's beautiful. It shouldn't be beautiful, but it is. 3 hours remain. The singing has stopped. People are just sitting now, holding each other. Some are sleeping or pretending to sleep. Some are staring at the sky. Some are writing like me, recording their last thoughts. Drakon is sitting beside me. He stopped shaking. There's a calm about him now, a kind of acceptance that's almost peaceful. Thank you, he says quietly. For what? For looking for the ship with me, for letting me hope, even if it was stupid. I take his hand. It wasn't stupid. Hope is never stupid. He laughs softly. You don't believe that? No, I admit, but I wish I did. We sit in silence, watching the stars emerge as the light fades. There are so many of them. I'd forgotten how many stars there were. Living in the Hive, you forget to look up. I wonder how many of those stars have worlds. How many have people living their ordinary lives, going to work, falling in love, raising children, never knowing that on this distant world, 6 billion people are about to die. Will they even notice? Will the astropaths relay the news? Tertium Majoris cleansed, Exterminatus successful, moving to next assignment. Will anyone mourn us, or were we forgotten the moment the order was signed? I suppose it doesn't matter. 2 hours remain. A child is crying, not in fear. She's too young to understand. She's crying because she's hungry and tired and wants her mother to make it better. And her mother is singing to her, rocking her gently, tears streaming down her face as she lies with her voice. It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. Mama's here. Everything's going to be okay. It's the most heartbreaking sound I've ever heard. Iona's child, the one who stopped speaking, suddenly speaks. Just 2 words, so quiet I almost missed them. I'm scared. Iona pulls her close, burying her face in her daughter's hair. Me too, baby. Me too. Around me, people are having their last conversations. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you for everything. I wish we'd had more time. Simple words. Human words. The only words that matter at the end. 1 hour remains. Someone spotted it first, a flash in the upper atmosphere. Then another. Then a dozen, 100. The orbital fleet. They're moving into position, their trajectories calculated with the precision that only the Mechanicus can provide. Beautiful ships with names I'll never know, each one carrying death in its belly. We stand together, all of us, holding hands or holding each other, and we watch. There's no more crying, no more praying, just watching. Acceptance. This is how the world ends. 30 minutes remain. The sky is full of ships now. They circle like predators, like angels of death, their hulls catching the light of our sun and reflecting it back down to us in gleaming flashes. I can see the weapon ports opening, massive cannons that could shatter mountains, virus bomb bays, cyclonic torpedo tubes, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust and set its atmosphere aflame, all for us. It's strange. I thought I would be more afraid. But standing here, watching our executioners take their positions, I feel only a profound sadness mixed with something that might be gratitude. We had 23 days. 23 days to say goodbye, to make peace, to love each other one last time. Some worlds don't get that mercy. Some worlds are destroyed without warning, their populations vaporized before they even understand what's happening. We were given time to be human, time to matter to each other. Perhaps that was the only mercy the Imperium had to give. 15 minutes remain. Drakon is praying now, not to the Emperor, to his brother, the one who died before all this. He's asking for forgiveness for not being there, for not saving him, for all the things he left unsaid. I place my hand on his shoulder. He grips it tightly. Around us, the observation deck has become a sea of humanity pressed together. Strangers are no longer strangers. We are simply people, sharing the same fate, the same fear, the same final moments. I think about Cornelius and Marta and Esme, peaceful in their sleep. About Magistrate Helix, with his unfiled reports. About Preacher Valdane prostrate before an altar. About Thessi walking into darkness. About all the billions of souls on this world, each one a universe unto themselves, each one ending. I think about my life, my small, insignificant, bureaucratic life. The years spent documenting grain shipments and Prometheum quotas. The evenings in my hab unit, eating alone, sleeping alone, existing in the comfortable numbness of routine. Was it a good life? I don't know. It was my life. And I wish I'd spent more of it looking at the stars. 5 minutes remain. The first ships are launching their payload. I can see them, bright streaks of light descending from orbit, beautiful and terrible. Cyclonic torpedoes, each one capable of triggering tectonic catastrophe. They fall toward the planet's surface at speeds that turn them into meteors, into falling stars. How poetic, I think. We make wishes on falling stars. Now falling stars will be the last thing we ever see. Someone starts singing again. Not a hymn this time, a lullaby. The same one from the lower hive levels days ago. Others join in, and soon all of us are singing it, this gentle song about sleep and dreams and peace. Hush now, child, and close your eyes. The Emperor watches from the skies. When morning comes, you'll wake renewed, in golden halls forever true. We don't believe the words, but we sing them anyway, for the children who are too young to understand, for the hope we wish we could still feel, for the people we were before the announcement. We sing for Tertium Majoris, for the world that was our home. 2 minutes remain. The torpedoes are striking the far side of the planet now. I can't see the impacts, but I can feel them. The ground beneath us trembling, a vibration that builds and builds like the world is shaking itself apart from within. Because it is. The physics of Exterminatus are straightforward, efficient, brutal. The cyclonic torpedoes burrow deep into the planet's crust before detonating, their explosions triggering cascading tectonic failures. Fault lines rupture, magma chambers breach, the planet's mantle destabilizes. Within minutes, Tertium Majoris will be a world of fire and upheaval, its surface transformed into an ocean of magma, its atmosphere burning away into space. We will not survive long enough to see it. The first shockwave will reach us in moments. The pressure wave alone will be enough to kill most of us instantly. Those who survive that will burn in the firestorm that follows, or suffocate as the atmosphere ignites, or be crushed when the hive collapses. It will be over quickly. That's something, at least. 1 minute remains. The horizon is glowing now, orange and red and terrible, as if the sun is rising from the wrong direction, from below instead of above. The shockwave from the first strikes, traveling at supersonic speeds, turning air into a weapon. Drakon squeezes my hand so tightly it hurts. Iona holds her daughter close, whispering in her ear. The young couple who got married yesterday are kissing one last time. An old man is crying, but he's smiling too. We are together. In this final moment, we are not alone. The light is getting brighter, closer. I can hear it now. A roar like the voice of an angry god, growing louder and louder until it's all I can hear, all that exists. I close my eyes. I think of all the small moments that made up my life. The taste of hot recaf on a cold morning. the satisfaction of a perfectly balanced ledger. The time I saw a child laughing in the street and felt, just for a moment, that the world was good. I think of Tertium Majoris, not as it is now, broken and dying, but as it was. A world of 6 billion stories, 6 billion lives that mattered to someone. We were real. We existed. We loved and feared and hoped and dreamed. They can take our future, but they cannot take that. The light behind my eyelids turns white, then brighter still, until there is nothing but light and heat, and in that final moment, as the fire descended and the world broke open like an egg, I understood something that should have been obvious all along. We were never important to the Imperium, not as individuals, not even as a world. We were statistics, resources, variables in an equation too vast for us to comprehend. Our deaths would be recorded in some administratum archive as Tertium Majoris, population cleansed, threat neutralized, matter concluded. One line in a report. That's all we were worth, but to each other? In these final 23 days, we had mattered immensely. Every kindness, every embrace, every moment of shared humanity had been an act of defiance against the cold machinery that had condemned us. The Imperium could kill our bodies. It could not kill what we had been to each other. I am not angry anymore. I am not even afraid. I am simply grateful for these people who stood with me at the end, for the stranger who shared his ration bar, for Dracon's desperate hope, for the couple who married with hours left to live, for the mother who lied to her child that everything would be okay. For all of us who proved in the shadow of annihilation that humanity is not defined by the Imperium's machinery, but by the small acts of grace we show each other when everything else is stripped away. If anyone finds this, if somehow these words survive when we do not, know this: we were not heroes, we were not saints. We were not even particularly good people, most of us, but we were human, and we faced the end together. That will have to be enough. And we faced the end together. That will have to be enough. The shockwave is seconds away now. I can see it with my own eyes, a visible wall of compressed atmosphere racing toward us across the wastes, leaving nothing but fire and devastation in its wake. The horizon has disappeared entirely, consumed by an advancing wave of destruction that moves faster than sound, faster than thought. Dracon's grip on my hand tightens until I can feel the bones grinding together. It should hurt, but it doesn't. Pain has become irrelevant. Everything has become irrelevant except this moment, this connection, these people standing with me. I see it, he whispers, though I can barely hear him over the approaching roar. I see the ship. I follow his gaze upward, toward the orbital fleet still hanging in the void above us like distant stars. For a moment, I don't understand what he means. Then I realize he's not talking about an escape ship. He never was, not really. He's talking about the ships that are killing us, the instruments of our execution, beautiful and terrible in their lethal efficiency. They're so clean, he says, and there's wonder in his voice. Wonder mixed with something that might be madness or might be the most perfect clarity. Everything's burning down here. Everything's chaos and fear and falling apart. But up there, they're pristine, perfect, doing exactly what they were designed to do. He's right. The contrast is obscene. Below, our world tears itself apart in fire and screaming. Above, the Imperium's machinery operates with cold precision. Every torpedo calculated, every trajectory planned, every death accounted for before it happens. That's what we are to them, I say, finally understanding. Chaos that needs to be corrected, disorder that needs to be cleansed. We're the mess they're wiping away so their universe can be clean again. Drakon nods slowly. Do you think they hate us? The people up there, pushing the buttons, watching us die? No, I say. I don't think they feel anything at all. That's worse. The temperature is climbing rapidly now. My skin feels tight, stretched across my skull like parchment about to ignite. Around me, people's hair is beginning to smoke. The metal railing I'm leaning against is hot enough to burn, but I don't pull away. There's nowhere to go that won't be burning in seconds anyway. Iona's daughter starts to cry, a thin, frightened sound that cuts through the approaching roar. Iona pulls her close, pressing the child's face against her shoulder, shielding her eyes from the light that's growing brighter and brighter. "Mama's here," she murmurs, over and over. "Mama's here, Mama's here." Mama's got you. The words are a lie and a truth simultaneously. Yes, her mother is here. Yes, her mother is holding her. But her mother cannot protect her from what's coming. No one can protect any of us, yet somehow the lie matters. In these final seconds, the comfort of her mother's arms is real, even if the safety is not. Love is real, even when it's powerless. I watch them and feel something crack open inside my chest. Not pain, but a kind of terrible tenderness. This is what we are. This is what humanity means. Not the ships above us or the Imperium's machinery, but this, a mother holding her child and lying to make the darkness less frightening. If there is a God Emperor watching from his golden throne, I hope he sees this. I hope he sees what his Imperium has destroyed. The observation deck is beginning to shake. Not the trembling we've felt for the past minutes, but a violent, sustained shuddering that makes my teeth rattle and my vision blur. Below us, I can hear the deep groan of metal tearing, of support structures failing, of the hive beginning its final collapse. We don't have minutes anymore, we have seconds. Someone near me is praying, not the formal prayers of the ecclesiarchy, but something older, simpler. Please, they're saying. Just that one word, repeated over and over, please, please, please. I don't know what they're asking for. Survival? Impossible. A quick death? Perhaps. Forgiveness? From whom? But I understand the impulse. When language fails and thought fragments and everything you've ever known is about to end, you reduce yourself to the most basic plea. Please. Let there be meaning. Let there be purpose. Let there be something other than this terrible randomness, please. I find my own lips moving, forming words I didn't know I was going to say. I existed. I was here. I mattered. Not a prayer, a statement, a fact I'm insisting upon in the face of annihilation. Valen's cross existed. For 54 years I walked this world, breathed its air, lived my small and insignificant life. I documented grain shipments and verified purity seals and lived in the comfortable numbness of routine. I was not important. I was not special. But I was real. And in these final 23 days, I was more alive than in all the years before. I saw humanity at its worst and its best. I witnessed collapse and courage, cruelty and compassion. I watched people choose how they would face the end, and in those choices I saw what we truly are. Not the Imperium's subjects, not servants of distant masters, just people trying to find meaning in a universe that offers none, trying to matter to each other because mattering to the Imperium was always impossible. We existed, we were here, we mattered. That's my final testimony. That's what I'm etching into the data core with these last words, hoping against hope that someone, somewhere, someday might find them and understand. We were not numbers. We were not resources. We were not expendable, regardless of what the Imperium decreed. We were human beings, and we deserved better than this. The wall of fire is filling my entire field of vision now. It's not fire as I've ever understood it, not flames dancing on wood or promethium burning in an engine. This is something fundamental, something that exists at the intersection of physics and finality. The atmosphere itself burning, the molecular bonds of air shattering and releasing their energy all at once. It's beautiful. I hate that it's beautiful, but I cannot deny it. The colors are impossible, the light is absolute, and there's a kind of purity to it that takes my breath away. My last breath as it happens. The air is too hot to breathe now. Each inhalation sears my lungs, my throat, everything inside me. I see others around me gasping, suffocating on air that's become toxic with heat and pressure. Some have stopped breathing entirely, whether by choice or because their bodies simply gave up. I'm still breathing, barely, stubbornly. I will breathe until I can't. I will exist until I don't. That's all any of us can do. Drakon turns to me one last time. His face is blistered, his eyes streaming tears that evaporate before they can fall, but he's smiling. Actually smiling. Thank you, he says. Or maybe just mouths. I can't hear anything anymore except the roar. For not letting me die alone. I want to tell him that he made these last days bearable, that his desperate hope for the ship, foolish as it was, gave me something to focus on besides waiting for death. That I'm glad I met him, glad I stood with him, glad that in this vast and uncaring universe, our paths crossed at the end. But there's no time for words. There's barely time for thought. So I just squeeze his hand and hope he understands. the shockwave hits. I have the strangest sensation of the world lurching sideways, as if reality itself has been knocked off its axis. The observation deck, the floor beneath me, the railing I'm gripping, the people around me, all of it begins to disintegrate. Not slowly, not piece by piece. All at once, as if existence has decided to stop bothering with the tedious process of destruction and has simply opted for erasure instead. I feel my body breaking, ribs fracturing, organs rupturing, bones splintering. The pressure is immense, unendurable, a force that reduces human flesh to something considerably less than flesh in fractions of a second. But in that fraction of a second, in that infinitesimal moment between living and not living, my mind is crystal clear. I think of my hab unit, my desk in the administratum, the data slates I filled with neat, orderly rows of numbers, the life I lived for 32 years in perfect obscurity. I think of Cornelius and Marta and Esme, Magistrate Helix, Preacher Valdane, Thessi, all the people whose lives intersected with mine in these final days. I think of Tertium Majoris, not just the Hive, but the entire world. The wastes, the settlements, the billions of people I never met but who shared this rock with me, who breathed the same air, who lived under the same gray sky, all of it ending, all of us ending, together. And I think this is what death means in the Imperium. This is what service earns you. This is the reward for loyalty, for faith, for existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oblivion. Not glorious death in service to the Emperor, not martyrdom that will be remembered, just erasure, complete and final, our names reduced to numbers in a casualty report that no one will read. But then, in my absolute last moment of consciousness, as my synapses fire their final signals and the architecture of my mind begins its irreversible collapse, I realize something that makes me want to laugh. They can erase us, but they cannot make us not have existed. For 54 years, I walked this world. For 23 days, I documented its end. Every word I wrote, every observation I recorded, every moment I witnessed is real. It happened. It mattered. Even if every physical trace is destroyed, even if these words burn with me, the fact remains. We existed. We were here. We were human. And that is something the Imperium cannot take away, no matter how many cyclonic torpedoes it launches, no matter how thoroughly it cleanses this world. The past is immutable. We were real. And nothing, not fire, not faith, not the cold calculus of imperial necessity, can change that fact. It's enough. It has to be, and now, critical recorder failure, catastrophic. Final temkinal tavstam, observation deck structural integrity, Zor sent repersed. Life signs detected, recording terminated. Data corruption, no further recovery possible.